How's it going, guys? Coffee here. Today I wanted to go over a follow-up from the prior Trial of the Ancestors video I had with more insight that I've gathered since I've been pushing up to about 850 rank now. One of the first and most important things that I've started to learn as I've gotten to these higher ranks is the importance of targeting specific opponents, not just based off of what favor they're offering, but there are a few opponents that get extremely hard to beat on the very first round, depending on your team. The people that I try to avoid are Ahuana, Kiloava, and Rakiata. Ahuana is the faction who has the spear dancers, so her team composition will be a lot of spear characters that will one-shot you off screen. A lot of the times, the losses that I've had to her, I've lost a few divines already, have been to getting targeted by a spear character from off screen at the very beginning, and then having my team wiped before I even res. So the champions that I do like to focus on, or the factions rather, are Kaom, Maata, Ahuana, or Utula. Pretty much whatever I'm going after, I'm either going after the currency to get a Fieldmaster or a Thunderbird round one. Those are like your two most important units. Pretty much your first 2 or 3 rounds, you're just focusing on getting either a Fieldmaster or a Thunderbird every single round. It's more important than pretty much anything else at that point. And once you have 3 or 4 of those going, you have a pretty safe composition to build out from there to ensure that you're pretty much winning all of your tournaments. The only tournaments I've lost in the last 2 days have been during losses in the first 2 rounds, mainly because of getting greedy with Ahuana, because she was either offering divines or something expensive, and I thought that I could beat her, but at this point it's just starting to get too risky. I do have a friend who is playing on SRS, and he recommends he has a strategy where he's just kind of being a bit of a bait, where if you do target a totem at all, at that point, all of the monsters will aggro you. So you can try to use that to kind of like pull aggro on them to distract them while your flankers take out some of their towers. I haven't personally tested this myself, but it is something that that he does recommend. The next tip I wanted to go over is in regards to selling bad units in order to afford S tier units. So in the specific case that I'm showing here, this is me realizing that I am 500, or that I have 500 Valico favor already, or favor already for Ahuranki rather, and I want to basically force a tide caller. I noticed with my Kiloava, or with my faction currency for Kaom, I didn't have enough to get a Ravager, and none of them existed, so I went ahead and cashed in everything in order to get a Tide Caller, just to be stronger on this specific round. Try to be efficient with your favor, unless you're holding it for a specific reason. The only favor I typically won't just go out and waste, or use rather, is going to be the favor that I have for like whether it's like Valico or Rongokurai, which is going to be your Fieldmaster and your Thunderbirds. I typically won't waste my currency that's going to get me either like my Spearfishers, my Spear Dancers, or my Tide Callers. Alright, the next thing to go over is going to be in regards to aggressively forcing S tier units. So in this case, you see that I am about 400 or 500 away from getting another Thunderbird. So I'm going to purposely take this match that specifically gives Ramako favor over anything else, just because completing another Thunderbird is more important than any other 1 or 2 units that I could be getting at this point. The more Thunderbirds and Fieldmasters you get for your composition, that increases your win rates dramatically. Like, they can pretty much carry matches all by themselves, and the earlier you can get them, the better off you are, and the less likely you are to end up just like catching an early loss or anything like that. Next thing, let's go ahead and jump over to prioritizing favor over loot in the early rounds, and then focusing on safe, easy win opponents. So you'll see a situation like this here, where I can either go against Kiloava, which is going to have Stormguard units with proxy shields, which can give trouble, or I can go against Kaom, which is pretty much one of the easiest wins in the game because he has no ranged units. So when you face him, it's very easy to kite him around. So you're going to see I end up taking Kaom, even though he's giving me less favor than what I want. I'm getting my Fieldmaster out of either opponent. So I'm just going to take the safer win just to get on my feet, because the first couple rounds are going to be the most dangerous rounds that you face. Because after a few rounds, you start to get your composition going, and then your Fieldmasters and your Thunderbirds can kind of carry the match for you. As you can see here again, because everything's melee, you can be very aggressive with targeting your totems, or with targeting totems rather, and then you can kind of just quickly move off if you need to. Before anything gets to you in range, you can flame dash away and just kind of do your little loop and go back into draining again. Next thing up is the importance of placing your flankers on a place that you can get back to them to defend them if you need to. This is from a match earlier that I had where I got extremely greedy. I did end up getting punished for it, where I was so focused on channeling this totem back here that I ended up not being able to save my attacker totems in time. But because I was able to get back there and save things for my flankers, the flankers were able to finish the match for me. This is one of those things where, again, if you get a Thunderbird, because they have a basically instant cast lightning warp, they can very much carry games for you. As you can see here, we're all the way down to 3 units against their 6. 4, I guess, if you count myself. But you can tell we're behind, and very quickly the Thunderbird and the other flanker are very quickly taking apart the enemy team and getting us down and basically winning the entire match for me. All I'm doing is distracting and or killing the units. If I was just distracting them and running in a circle, it would be effectively the same thing as killing them, because the Thunderbird would still be able to freely do whatever they needed to do. Last thing outside of that is going to be in regards to just being patient if you need to be, and or being bait for your units. There are times where, especially if you're facing against some of the more dangerous opponents, like Ahuana, who has a lot of ranged units or a lot of spear units who can and will target you or kill you off screen. If you do tap a totem in any amount in the enemy base, anything that is spawned on defense back there will instantly target you and start chasing you around. So you can pull them all the way back to your base if you need to. Other than that, you can just try to be a little patient. It is less likely that you end up being killed if you are staying mobile. So as long as you are back here kind of distracting the mobs, it does give time for your escort units or for your flanker units to just be tapping totems for you while you stay off. And if you're a non-totem character, you can just be focusing on damage or focusing on anything else other than targeting the totems. Other than that, if you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. I'll be more than happy to answer them, and I will continue to update you guys with any other tips and tricks that I learn along the way through pushing this, and it's my intention to be pushing this as far as I can this league. So other than that, see you in the next one.